When I was in college, I bought a 1999 Chevy Suburban. This was a great all around vehicle for myself because I'm moving in and out of college at the end of each year. I'm DJing parties on the weekend. I have room for family, for friends, for adventures, for road trips. It was a pretty great car. One weekend, I'm at my parents' house. No different than any other weekend. You might go home for college for the week, visit the family, get mom to do your laundry. I'm going to go out, don't remember what I needed to do, needed to leave the house. I walk down the stairs, I get in the car, I back out of the driveway. Suburban is a column shift. I realize I left the front door of the house open. Whoops, my mistake. I need to pull back in the driveway, run up the stairs, and close the door. Well, when I shifted into drive, I actually shifted into third. As you know, it goes park, reverse, neutral, drive, 3, 2, 1. So when I drove back into the driveway, I was actually in third on the column and not drive. Didn't notice because, of course, the car drove in third, very similar to how it drove in drive, and I pulled back into the driveway. I then proceeded to shift up 3 clicks into park and get out. Well, it turns out 3 clicks up from third isn't park, it's reverse. But I did it so fast, and I hopped out of the car like I would any other time, and I left the door open because all I needed to do was just run up about 8 brick stairs, close that door, come back down. So I hopped out, not knowing that the car was in reverse, ran up the stairs. As I'm running up the stairs, I hear my exhaust making noise as if my car is moving. I turn around, it's moving across the street in reverse, away from me, headed towards either a tree or my neighbor's house or in my neighbor's yard. Now I'm 20, not particularly smart at that age, so I immediately start running after my own car. I jump down what had to be about all 8 stairs. I'm now running after the car. The car is moving away from me across the street, and the door for the driver's door is wide open. You got to picture this. I'm running after the car. The car is maybe going 3, 4 miles an hour, but it's still moving, and it's definitely headed for this tree. And it's either going to hit the tree, which is going to be bad, or it's going to miss the tree, and it's going to go through my neighbor's yard and into my neighbor's pool. There's no good outcome here. I'm just running after the car. Things are flashing through my head. I'm getting closer to the car, and I'm going to try to run around the open door, jump in, and slam my foot on the brake. The car is getting closer and closer to the tree, and I'm not thinking about my own personal safety at this moment. But I ran around the door just before the car got to the tree. Well, it turns out the back of the car missed the tree, but the door didn't. And I managed to somehow squeeze myself between the door and the tree before the door was going to hit the tree. And I hopped in the car and I slammed on the brake as hard as I could. Now, if I had got there about 2 seconds earlier, I think everything would have been great and I just would have had a crazy story to tell. And if I had got there about 2 seconds later, I think that the door probably would have been ripped off the car completely and the car would have gone into my neighbor's pool. But I got there just in time to almost get crushed between the door and the tree, slam my foot on the brakes such that the tree hit the door and folded my driver's door all the way around up against my front left quarter panel. And now I'm sitting there with the car at a stop and there's no door and the door is all the way around. And I'm having that, we're living moment. Okay, we'll put it back in drive. We'll drive back across the street. We'll put it in the driveway and we'll confirm it's in park. Now what do? Do we call my parents? Do we tell them what I've done? No, we're just going to call the insurance company and see if we can keep this quiet. My insurance agent is a friend of the family. She was a friend of my dad. I remember her name to this day. Her name was Dorothea. She was a nice older lady. She knew me from when I was a little kid. I call Dorothea at her office. I say, "Hey, Dorothea, it's Sam, and I need some advice. The Suburban has gone into a tree." And she said, "Oh, well, are you okay?" I said, "Yep, I'm okay. I just wanted to talk about what happens next. I've never been in a car accident before. I don't know how insurance claims work. What do I do?" And she said, "Well, were you driving the car when it happened?" And I said, "No." She said, "Well, who was driving the car?" And I said, "No one was driving the car." And she said, "I don't understand." You weren't driving the car? And I said, no. She said, well, then it's not going to be on your insurance if you weren't driving. Who was driving at the time? And I said, no one was driving the car when it went into the tree. And she said, yeah, I don't understand. And I said, Dorothea, I put the car in reverse and got out and walked away, and the car went into a tree. And she said, well, why the F would you do that? And I said, obviously, I didn't mean to do that, but that's what happened. So she told me what the process was for filling out the forms and submitting a claim. And I then proceeded to drive my car with the door folded all the way up around the front quarter panel across town to the local auto body shop, where I had to explain the foolishness of my decision making that afternoon. A few years ago, I was planning to go on a little winter road trip vacation with a couple of friends of mine. So it was going to be my wife and I, and then three of my friends and their significant others as well. Four couples all together. We're going to go on a nice vacation. We live in the Boston area. It's wintertime. We're going to go up to my parents' place. They lived in a town just outside of Burlington, Vermont at the time. We said, hey, Mom, Dad, we'll pay for you to go to Canada for the weekend. Grab a hotel, take in the sights. We want to use your house as our hotel for the weekend for four couples. They were fine with a free vacation to Canada for the weekend, so I made some plans with some friends of mine. We're going to drive from Boston. It's about a 3-hour drive up to the Burlington, Vermont area. Have a nice weekend, go out to dinner, see the sights, enjoy living in their house for a weekend for free. I take a close look at the weather, and the weather is cold, but it's clear. There's no precipitation forecast for the Boston area, for the Burlington, Vermont area, or for anywhere between. We decided we're going to take 2 cars. There's 8 people, 4 and 4. Now, I've got off-road vehicle at my disposal. It's slow. It's not fun. Why would I take it? There's no snow in the forecast. There's no rain in the forecast. It's just going to be cold. I'm going to take my Mercedes. At the time, I was driving a Mercedes S65 AMG. As anyone knows who's driven a Mercedes S65 AMG, this is a twin-turbo V12, 621 horsepower, 738 foot-pounds of torque. When you accelerate hard, the car actually doesn't move. Earth rotates in reverse underneath you. It's a powerful car. I decide I'm going to take that for the weekend only because the roads are dry. Little did I know, rear tires were reaching end of life, per se. My mechanic would later describe them as baloney skins. So we start our drive north, and we get about halfway there, and it starts to snow. Okay, a little snow, not so bad. We continue the drive. My friend's following me. He's in a Jeep Grand Cherokee. No problem. We get about 50 miles from where we need to go, and the snow is coming down heavier. And now the roads are starting to not be black, they're starting to be white. This is concerning. I'm feeling the car is a little skittish now under acceleration, and I'm looking at my GPS, and we still have 40 miles to go. We continue to drive carefully. It starts to snow harder. Again, there was no snow in the forecast, but evidently when you get up in the mountains, that's just the thing that happens. So now the roads are completely covered with snow. There is no lines. There is no blacktop. It's just snow. There's no traction whatsoever. We're fishtailing constantly. I now realize I'm going to need to keep my momentum up because if I stop, there's no restarting. We drive for approximately 40 miles in these conditions, amazingly, and I'm able to keep the car going. We get off the highway. We take a left at the bottom of the ramp. We drive down the street. We take a right, and then we take a left onto the beginning of what is my parents' road. That's where we approach the slightest of inclines, where my Mercedes decides, you're done. It's now all of the stuck. We don't know what to do. It's at the bottom of the hill. We can't go anywhere. So I say to my friend in the Jeep, hey man, I think we're going to need to drag it up the hill the rest of the way to my parents' house. So we walked up the rest of the hill. Again, not a steep hill. Get to the bottom of my parents' driveway, where the hill is a little bit steeper. Walk up to the house, found some chain, walk back down, attach the chain to the Jeep Grand Cherokee, attach the other end of the chain to the tow hook, which I'm sure no one has ever used on their S65 AMG except me. But now I've got a chain tied to it, and I proceed to have my friend in his Jeep drag the S65 up the rest of the street and then to the top of the driveway. The driveway is a little bit more steep, and then it's flat at the top. We dragged it up there. We parked it. It was no big deal. We go inside, everybody gets changed, we get freshened up, we've had a long drive. It was a little precarious for the last little bit, but we're gonna just take it easy this evening. After a couple of hours, we decide, well, let's venture out. Maybe we'll go out for a nice dinner. Everybody's ready to go. We open up the garage door. I see the Jeep. I don't see the Mercedes. Guys, did someone steal the Mercedes? It's not here. I turn on the floodlights. All the way down the end of the driveway and around the corner, I see the Mercedes. It's slid down the whole driveway while in park, around the corner, and landed in the ditch. I've never seen such a thing. I don't know what to do. We walk down, we see the car. There doesn't appear to be any damage. We decide that's where it's going to stay for the weekend. And we left it there for the weekend. At the end of the weekend, temps were a little bit warmer. We were able to drag it out of the spot. Conditions were clear and sunny. There was no damage. We drove it out. We drove it home, and things were fine. And that was the second time that I put a car in my parents' driveway, and it ended up not being where I left it after I walked away. And we know things don't usually happen in twos. They usually happen in threes. So there's a non-zero chance that the car I brought here today is actually rolling down the driveway right now.
Between cannonballs and rallies and car treks, I've been on well over 100 road trips, but one of the things that I always see is that nobody else is terribly prepared. And this is not just a jab at Freddie, but generally people don't bring the tools, the supplies, and the things they need to make it all the way to the destination of their road trip. And so I decided, after building kind of the kit that I take between cars for the long drives I go in unreliable vehicles, as the ultimate road trip survival kit. And you'll find a link in the description below to an Amazon shopping cart of the things that I think you need in order to get there and get there without a tow bill attached to it. So check it out now, buy what you think you want, let me know in the comments what I left out, and we'll try to keep refining it so we can build the ultimate road trip survival box.